valuable, even extraordinary. The eyes of the heart look at the object of worthiness and proclaim, "You mean something to me, and I genuinely see you." If there's a time when dignity should be front and center, it's when we're talking about God. We Christ followers talk much about love when it comes to showing and spreading our faith, as we should. But what does love really look like? Love looks a lot like dignity. It recognizes the gravity of a person. It recognizes the worthiness of a person. And it is truly genuine. Like many followers of Christ, Cheri and I have compassion for those who are spiritually adrift or searching for something more. We have a heart for people who are exploring spiritual things and are trying to find answers to the bigger questions of life. We have spent many years and tears walking with others on their journey to discover truth. We met in our early 20s. And it didn't take long for our lives to merge around one common passion: ministry. Not in a vocational sense, but in the truest sense of the word: to serve. We both feel drawn to help people who have already decided to follow Jesus Christ and who seek to deepen their faith. And we love helping people who are seeking to know God find their faith. We realized early on, though, that we were just as in need of guidance, support, and challenge as anyone else. Even more, we recognized that if we weren't vulnerable, open, and genuine with others in this pursuit of spiritual growth, we stripped ourselves of the right to ask for these very same qualities in others. Interdependent growth requires an authenticity on both sides. People cannot lead others where they have not gone, and they ought not ask others to do what they are not willing to do themselves. So often we as Christ followers ask people who are far from God to do what we who are close to God are not able or willing to do: to be authentic, vulnerable, and emotionally honest. This concept was significant, and still is, to spiritual formation. If it were not for this commitment to upholding emotional honesty, the conversations we share in this book would never have taken place. What do we mean by emotional honesty? Emotional honesty is being willing to face the difficult and sometimes ugly inner realities, the inconsistencies in our lives, our painful pasts and painful presents. Being open even when we fear rejection, and telling the truth about ourselves even when it directly contradicts who we wish we were. You know, all the fun stuff? There's a great line from one of Cheri's favorite books, Absolute Truths by Susan Howatch. A perceptive spiritual director is attempting to coax something out of his young protege and eventually calls him out. "You're saying the words you want me to hear, but I hear the words you can't bring yourself to say." Emotional honesty says the words we can hardly bring ourselves to say out loud. It's like pushing a verbal boulder uphill until it finally reaches the top and simply falls in its own heaviness. Cheri and I never really put certain values into words, but we gradually solidified them throughout the years as life's pressures and realities pressed down on us. These values emerged in the form of 3 continuous applications. First, joining hands with the spiritually adrift on their journey toward Christ. Second, giving dignity to all people. And third, being emotionally honest. So when we say that we come in peace, we recognize that life is a journey, and we are fellow pilgrims on this journey. Are aware that all people who God puts in our path are special and deserve to be treated with worthiness. Realize that spiritual conversations are intended to be dialogues, not monologues, and are committed to being authentic and vulnerable along the way. Cheri and I don't believe these values are meant for only some people to adhere to. We believe these values are meant for all people. These are principles worth holding on to, and they are strong enough to withstand the